Training for special operations is no easy feat. Attrition rates are upwards of 70%, and that's for those who met the standards and actually signed a contract. But for every candidate who made it to day one, there were hundreds who wanted to be in their place, but fell short and failed to get there. This means the greatest attrition does not happen at selection. The crucible starts right now, in your training as a civilian. Now, I've coached well over 100 candidates for special operations. In this video, I will give you the mental tools and a 5-stage blueprint to organize your training, including sample routines, so that you reach day one healthy, confident in your abilities, and prepared to dominate selection. But first, let's be crystal clear about what attributes it takes to become a Green Beret, pararescueman, or Navy SEAL. Mental resilience, aerobic capacity, physical strength, and durability are the 4 key attributes. And the good news is, each of these traits is trainable. And this brings me to your first 3 steps when training for selection, each of which is focused on the mind first and foremost. And this is important because your mind is always first to quit. The physical follows the mental. Step 1 is to recognize your training baselines do not matter, because everyone has to improve to some extent. What really matters is putting in the work to level up those attributes and ultimately cross the finish line. Now, of course, there are physical freaks. The national champion wrestler or powerlifting track star start their selection prep closer to the finish line than anybody else. You would be a fool to ignore that. But this brings me to my second step, which is to acknowledge your deficiencies and where you are today, but don't fixate on them. Comparing your baseline to your training partners or anybody else's does not move the ball forward. So take a moment and recognize a deficiency in your fitness, being overweight, having poor cardio, or being rail thin. No amount of overthinking or regret will fix this, so acknowledge it and move on. Unfortunately, this is where many guys go wrong. They fixate and feel apologetic or sorry about their current state of fitness. It's a frequent occurrence when I first work with an athlete and they apologetically share their first timed run performance. And my response is always just that, to acknowledge where you are today and then do step 3, which is to stop feeling sorry for yourself and get to work. Remember, you are the author of your own story, and every day you have the opportunity to decide what you will do next. So now that you're in the right state of mind, let's discuss the 5 distinct stages of your training: exploring, developing, refining, peaking, and maintaining. Many of you may dismiss these stages as a waste of time to think about, but also you are more likely to quit prior to earning a contract than at selection. So it follows that having a mental framework to break your pre-selection training up into achievable pieces is just as, if not more important than any research you're doing about selection. This practice of breaking a large task up into component pieces is called segmentation, and it's what all high-performance athletes do. So rather than thinking about 9 months or a year of hard training to transform yourself, you can think about your training in terms of seasons, in which you are continuously leveling up, but focusing on different aspects of fitness to avoid burnout. The first stage is exploring, where you're thinking about the idea of enlisting, but you haven't committed yet. Most guys reach this stage and jump into an unsustainably rigorous program and crash and burn. Their intentions are noble. They think more training will yield better results. But that's exactly why I want you to spend a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks in this phase. Use this time to get a realistic gauge of your fitness. Go to the gym, get in your easy jogs, and be consistent. This is not the time to waste your money or time researching and buying fins, boots, or rucksack. Your $20 gym membership and running shoes are sufficient. The purpose of this phase is to acclimate your body to simple training and get you into a routine. And what's nice about this exploratory phase is it can last as long as you like. If you're a college freshman thinking about enlisting after graduation, you have time. You could spend the entire year doing relatively lax, moderate intensity training and still make progress. And if you're looking for a sample routine during this phase, try this one. The full program will be in the description. Once you're ready to take that next step and fully commit yourself to training, it's time to enter the development stage, which has 2 goals. First is to achieve a favorable body composition of 20% body fat or less. And second is building a base of strength and endurance. Let me explain the body composition aspect first. It matters because leaner candidates get selected at higher rates. At SFAS, the leanest candidates had a 51% selection rate, while the fattest had a 13% selection rate. And at Buds, the data followed the same pattern. The leanest group was twice as likely to complete Hell Week as the fattest. And here's a few images of what various body fat levels look like. 20% may sound high, but it's actually pretty lean as you can tell from the pictures. And achieving a 20% body fat percentage or lower will improve your run, ruck, and calisthenics scores, and essentially reveal your true fitness level, which is currently masked by the additional fat you're carrying. This is why I always say, if you are overweight, you're actually fitter than you think, because if you're carrying an additional 20 pounds of fat, you're doing everything with a 20-pound weight vest of fat. Now, at the same time you're achieving a favorable body composition, you need to be on a regimented program to achieve a base of strength and endurance. This means that you're no longer winging it in the gym. You need to have a plan for every session with target weights and paces to hit, and execute every movement and run with intention. Your target for this stage should be to hit at least a 135-pound overhead press, 245-pound squat, 285-pound deadlift, and a 6:30-minute mile or faster. In terms of frequency, you want to be training at least 4 days per week, with a minimum of 2 strength sessions and 3 cardio sessions. Once you've achieved those strength and endurance metrics and are shipping or heading to selection 6 months or sooner, it's time to start sharpening your sword. And what I mean is to pivot from the more general strength and endurance work, which is basic strength and run movements, and begin incorporating selection style activities like focused grip work, carries, rocking, and metabolic conditioning. The reason why we wait to do these movements is because a base of strength and endurance are necessary to achieve the requisite volume and benefit from those exercises. For instance, for this session, someone who runs a 6-minute mile and is strong at calisthenics will accumulate a lot more volume than somebody who is untrained. During this time, it's also important to proactively address your weaknesses. If you have a bad shoulder, knee, or shin splints, this is the time to ensure you're doing the rehab work to reach 100%, so those nagging injuries don't come back to haunt you. I have a whole video on avoiding injuries, so if you want to check it out, it'll be in the description. 3 months out from selection or shipping is the time to start peaking. It's during the stage your volume and intensity will pick up drastically. No longer is the focus primarily on improving your run, ruck times, or strength metrics, although you may improve. Instead, the goal is to acclimate your body to high volumes and the activities of selection. Your primary selection muscle groups like the back, legs, grip, and shoulders will all be hammered in this phase, alongside metabolic conditioning work, running, and heavy rucking. And for endurance, the primary tool I use in this stage is pre-fatigue. So the long runs and rucks you were doing in the previous stages, you'll start entering those sessions with circuits that attack your lower back, legs, and grip. So by the time you get to selection, you're comfortable performing in a compromised state. This high volume, high intensity training will reach a peak about 2 weeks out from your selection or ship date. It's during this time you back off the volume and intensity and allow your body time to recover. It is critical you let off the gas here, because the effect we're shooting for is called overreaching with performance supercompensation. In simple terms, we temporarily increase volume beyond what you can recover from, and after a period of rest and recovery, your new fitness will surpass what it was previously. The final stage is maintenance and recovery. During those final 2 weeks leading up to selection, you want to focus on your sleep, hydration, and nutrition. It's normal during this deload to feel rusty or out of practice because you've been doing so much volume, but trust me, you will bounce back. Feel light on your feet, and your performance will be better for it. Well, what this 14 to 10-day deload looks like will depend on the volume you achieved in the prior 12 weeks, as well as your feelings day to day. This is a sample template, and as mentioned before, you can find the program in the description. My bonus tip for this video is the importance of consistency. A poll of this audience found that what holds your training back most is consistency. And here is the solution. You need to stop creating your training schedule for the athlete you want to become and create a training schedule for the athlete you are today. I would much rather see you hit 100% of your 5 workouts per week than hit 60% of your 10 workouts per week. You want to start at level 1 and build up. And if you'd like to learn the 6 best exercises for training for selection, check out the video on the screen. If you'd like one-on-one coaching tailored to your needs, submit an application at the link in the description. Thanks for watching.